Hi, Anita.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Can you see me?
Yes, yes. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're busy at the moment, so I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and thank you for the beautiful review. It meant
Oh, you
so much.
read it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did. I was able to get a translation of it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so moving,
Thank
because
you. I love the movie. I really, really enjoyed it
oh,
a lot. So it spoke to me, probably because of some personal experiences as well. So I think that's one of the reasons I really it touched me.
oh, that's amazing. I mean, that's the whole reason for, making a film like that, in hopes that it would be relatable and it would speak to people. So
Yeah.
that means so much. Really, that
So
means
how
so
was your
much.
trip back from
It
Tallinn?
was
Oh,
good.
I
It was
know that you're
good.
somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I was just being I was being so hyper cautious because I'm in the middle of filming, and of
Yeah.
course my producers of my other film were very worried that I was going to go, yeah, so I was just being taking every precaution going through airports and things like that,
Yeah,
but it
I
was,
understand. I just
yeah.
arrived. I mentioned that from Barcelona as well, from
Oh,
totally
right,
different
yeah.
topics, a trip.
Of
And then
course.
again, you don't want to get sick because you know that you have this
Yeah.
film festival coming. And I didn't want to miss that either. Even though I'm vaccinated, it's still, you wear your
I
mask
know.
and you
I
keep
know.
away slightly from the people and all that. So, but it's good to
Definitely.
be back home. I'm at home at the moment. So it's really, really good.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
So
But it was,
congratulations on the
thank
movie to
you.
you first.
Thank
I'm
you.
recording this, just that you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, Hopefully it's okay with you,
Yeah, absolutely.
because it's the technology gives us a little help here that I don't have to
Yeah.
necessarily type everything, from my head.
Right. Seriously. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
congratulations on the movie. I
Thank,
really, like I said, I really enjoyed it.
thank you.
It was one of the movies on my shortlist right away when I saw, because it's not very often you see Icelandic movies here in Estonia. So I always like seeing the productions of the smaller countries as well, because it's like in Estonia, we're also a tiny country, and it's always nice to see something from other small countries as well, how it is produced and what the topics of the movies are, how they made, who are, in which roles and all that. So I'm a big supporter of the Nordic, Scandinavian, and now also Icelandic movies, obviously. So,
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I totally
so
relate. I've been living in America for a really
yeah,
long time, and
yeah.
I've just recently moved back and been making films here in Iceland for the past 2 years.
Hmm.
And there's such a big difference between, it's interesting because every country will have their own, need to tell the story.
Yeah.
They have their own little flavor, and it's been an amazing thing to be a part of the Icelandic film scene for the past
Hmm.
couple of years, because there's some really exciting, there's a there's a sort of a new movement of filmmakers here in Iceland,
Hmm.
and a lot of female filmmakers. So I've just found that to be really extraordinary. For the past
Hmm.
2 years, I've gotten to work with four female
Yeah,
filmmakers,
really.
and yeah, yeah,
I
it's
think that's
amazing.
amazing because it's not, very often you see that. Of course,
Oh,
it has changed during the last decade. I would say that you can see the
yeah,
female directors and also producers, which is, if you have both director and a production company led by
yeah,
women, I think that
yeah.
is changing the whole industry, in my opinion.
Definitely. And for me, it's interesting because when we started making this film, you know, one of the first things that Tinna said to me, like when I was just auditioning for the film, she was like, you know, I just wanted to make sure that you're okay. Like I want like absolutely no makeup. Like I don't want to use any makeup, because I want it to be, there's a sense of rawness and an intimacy that I'm looking for. And she was like, are you okay with that? Are you okay with that? And I was like, of course, because I really I just care about serving the story. But she was worried that I was going to be uncomfortable with it, and of course it's that sort of thing comes from, you know, that as an actress, I've definitely felt it in my career, which is hopefully changing, but women being very sexualized in films, in one way or another, in a small way or a large way. And it's really interesting that when you're working with a female filmmaker, that's just not the case. And if you are approaching subjects of, you know, sex or anything, which is obviously not the case in this film, but in general, then it's completely different. It's completely different. And I think it's so important that we get to tell women's stories from, you know, the perspective of women with female writers and female directors.
Because Quake is the story was written originally by a woman.
Yes.
Then director and screenwriting is by Tina, and most of the roles in the movie are actually also women, of course.
Right.
Just the dad and the
absolutely.
It's a very strong cast here, and also the whole strong team in my opinion. So I would like to go back for a second for the film festival. Did you have any time to see any films, or did you come just for the Quake and saw the premiere and then next morning you left?
Yes, unfortunately, because I really love the environment of a film festival where you get to meet other people that are, you know, they're passionate about films, and get to see other people's work. And so unfortunately I wasn't able to see anything because I arrived on a Friday night. And then we did Saturday with some you know, press, and then the premiere, and then I was off the next morning because I'm filming. So unfortunately I would have loved to both seen more of Tallinn and more of Estonia, but also would have loved to see more films. But
they have a very good, in my opinion. I've been writing for PÖFF for I think 8 years now. We have been part of it. And I think every year the focus is again slightly different on a different country, and also there's so many movies to watch. I'm in serious time management problem here.
Right.
I want to see so many
you for being so on top of it. It's really wonderful.
It is. But I also think that the whole buzz around it, this is one of the things I really love, that you get to meet different people, you get to see different filmmakers and the people who actually kind of designed the filmmaking industry here in this countries, at least. I think it's really, really, really fascinating. So were you nervous at the world premiere or before that? I was in the audience, by the way, just saying. So what did you feel before the premiere?
I mean, of course you always have butterflies, but in this case it really was such a source of just excitement to share it with people, because, you know, that's why we do what we do. It is, you know, so it's like there's such a long lead up in, you know, first of all for Tinna, who started writing this, you know, 5 years ago, and has been working very hard on it, and then me coming into the project, you know, two years ago, and then finally when you have that connection to the audience, and you get to see if it has, you know, if it has an emotional effect on people, like that's why we do it. So, you know, for me it was very exciting. I was very nervous making the film. I remember when, you know 2 weeks before filming, I was just like, I was almost like getting sick because I felt an immense pressure.
Pressure.
Because it's a little bit unusual in this story how much Saga is on the screen, because
Yes,
it
it's a
really is
lot.
like
Yeah.
you're getting to experience the world through her head and almost into her thoughts. So it's a very intimate thing. So I felt during the filming of it, I felt an immense pressure, because I just thought the script was so beautiful, and really felt all the heart and the time and that Tinna had put into and to nurturing it and making it what this really wonderful script. And so I just really wanted to do to kind of deliver the best that I could, so that I could attempt to do it justice.
Had you read the book? Had you read the book as well?
I read the book as soon as Tinna mentioned it to me, because Tinna and I we met each other when we were filming a TV series in
The Minister?
2019. Yes. Yeah, and that's the first time we met each other, and then she mentioned it to me, and I right away went and read the book and read her screenplay. And it's great because it's a very popular book. The book is a sort of, it's a stream of consciousness. It's not necessarily structured in
the same way
form that will be, that will be like a cinematic form. So I found that really impressive, how Tinna, she had such clear ideas about what she wanted to say in this film, and her focus on this film, which is, it is an independent piece from the book, although it's drawing life and inspiration from the book. But I just thought it was because her focus was so clear, the focus on, this issue with a family that I just think is such a universal truth. This thing about and sometimes families, we get into a pattern where we slowly just go, oh, what mom's like, or how we can get, and and we let things slide, and we sweep things under the rug, and slowly, and so we all kind of become participants in this pattern, which often becomes unhealthy, because when there, and that's what I find really beautiful about this story. It's sort of telling us is like you need to, in matters of trauma and stuff, you need to confront it, otherwise it's like poison that's going to eat you up from the inside, no matter how good you are covering it up, and then sort of analyzing how the different generations are coping with it. And
I absolutely agree with you on that one, because I think also the focus of the movie, what I loved about it, it is about the acceptance somehow, and also coming from the not denial, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but coming from that to the acceptance, even though in the movie, in the film, I think it was very beautifully played. In real life, I don't know, luckily or unfortunately, it doesn't happen all the time. We still keep festering and still keeping it inside. So I think it was very well. It was like a beautiful mosaic put together. When you start finding out the pieces about Saga and the whole story of her family, I really liked it. So, what was the most important characteristics for you when you prepared or played Saga? I think she's a very interesting character in the film.
It is, there is sort of that in like very fundamentally, I kept coming back to this thing of like, you know that there is a truth that needs to be faced, and some days you feel brave and you feel like you can look at it and confront it.
Mm-hmm.
And some days you just want to shut the door. You just want to shut it out. And so I think that was a very big element and thread throughout, because it sort of ebbs and flows for her in this discovery. You know, obviously, you know, I worked quite hard on there's a physical element to this, which is the epilepsy, which is essentially like the epilepsy becomes, you know, it becomes a tool for the story. You know, that's the reason why, you know, she sees the world anew. You know, she gets new eyes. But you know, that is something that I had to work quite up, you know, because I have you know, episodes, you know, on screen. So you know, just in a sort of practical way, it's something that I wanted to do well, and I wanted to represent well, and I wanted it to be authentic and believable. And so I literally have like hours and hours of tape of myself, like recording myself having epileptic seizures. Oh my God! I mean, that was hard. That was hard.
I believe you when you say it's hard.
It was very, it was hard. It was hard, but it was a physical thing. Like you know, it was a physical thing that I just had to learn, and I had to study. But through it, I found out, I learned, because I spoke to specialists, that, you know, and neurologists and people that suffer from epilepsy, and there were some really interesting factors about that condition, which I definitely took a lot from, you know, like the one person, I think that's if from the novel, that the author from the novel, she describes, you know, having this kind of condition is like constantly having an attacker behind you, and you never know when he's going to strike.
And that keeps you on your toes constantly.
Yes, to constantly, like that you might lose control at any given moment. And the one thing that she has to fight for more than anything is control, because without control of her own body,
it's
she
scary.
can't be the mother to her son. And to be the mother to her son is the most important thing in her. That's her whole universe. And so that's something that I also thought that Tinna did so beautifully in the film. And when I was watching it the other day, even though I'm watching myself, which is sometimes hard, I was getting emotional in those, you know, in those moments, where it's like you really feel like as a mother, you know, it's just that is the only, you know, I am a mother myself, and so, you know, sort of understand that thing that is like that's just the most important thing in the world. And so that battle, it's sort of a primal battle that she is in, because this is the thing that she has to fight for, or else there is no world. You know, she must be able to have, you know, her son in her presence, in her life, and she can't. And so this incredible need for control was really interesting, because and sometimes, you know, sometimes it was like almost comical, because she's so forceful, because she's so determined that she is going to get control over something that she can't, you know, because she can't control it. And that's also a part of her learning curve that she also has to let go.
I think it was very interesting that you managed to, of course, you're professional actress, but it was really beautiful to watch Saga being in one moment very fragile. You know, all these close-ups that were filmed and shown in the film, and then so strong in order to get to know the truth. And I think that was like a interesting journey for any person, you know, to be fragile when you in one way, you know, you can't control the epilepsy, and also fragile when you don't remember anything, or you have these these memories coming back, and which I believe can be very scary. I never tried having any memory loss, so I think it might be really, really scary or frightening when you remember something that or see something what you're not sure what it means, and being so strong, finding that these answers to make sure that she can have the presence of her son and the family and all that. I think that was really, really well done.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, you know, in some ways it was such a gift, you know, because her goals were always so clear.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sign of like really good storytelling and a testament to Tinna's screenplay, that you know, it's always completely clear what she wants. You know, she has a singular goal, which then gets very complicated because you're dealing with multiple relationship. You know, you're also dealing with this the loss of a marriage. You know, your marriage falling apart, and sort of coping with that, and that whole arc I found really, really lovely. And then you know, seeing the family with these new eyes, and all of a sudden thinking, who can I trust? Or is somebody who is in my inner circle, is there somebody that can do harm? Or is there somebody that can, you know, somebody who I trust that all of a sudden frightens me? And you know, and what is it to be, you know, who is a bad person or a good person? What does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, you come to terms with all of that.
And it's not judgmental. This is what I really enjoyed as well, and it gave also hope, in my opinion, because it has this side plot there with one character called Oscar, and how the movie or the film ends. I think that was kind of when one of the last scenes. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers here. When the family, it was the facial impressions. You know, it was just, it gave hope. I don't know how else to put it. And this is also what I know that it's different, slightly different from the book. So I really enjoyed that the screen or the script gave that also to the viewer. I really think that was important as well.
Oh yeah, and that's I'm so happy to hear you say that, because that's something that Tinna was very much structured into the story, and it was something that she very intentionally built. And you know, Oscar, the name of that character, is, if you translate it, is into wish.
Really, I didn't know that.
Wish, Oscar. So it's like so it is. He is literally, you know, representing hope, and which is, you know, sort of parallels the arc that the family then goes through, which you know, and I just think that, you know, that part of the story, and without giving away, but I also love the ending, because, you know, because you know, in the film is, you know, raw and it's intense. But it is through all these, you know, through all these experiences that you come out with a sense of acceptance and understanding and hope. I think is incredibly, and I think it can be really valuable for us as human beings, because when you're in your own set of family, I mean, I know this, it can be so hard when you're in it to, you know what to do, you know, when we bump into walls and we get all tangled up, and sometimes, so I think that's the hope of a film like this, that you know, it might, through watching it from slightly afar, from watching a story, that it might give us some clues, it might give us some instincts about you know, these things that we may need to do in our own family. I think that's
absolutely. Yeah, I love, there are so many scenes which I think are in a way adorable as well. again, coming back to this, eating this soup, that it's like solving everything in the world. Just a good soup does the
Right,
wonders.
right. No, I think
it's
I think it's so true. It's like every family
yeah,
has a thing. It's like, oh, if we just do this, then everything will be fine. You know, we just
exactly.
go
But it's
skiing,
so,
or
but
you
it
know, it's
is
like
also,
my big rugby wedding. They had the Windex. So Windex will fix everything.
yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's so
But that's
true.
the
Every
truth.
family has
And
it.
it is so, that's why I'm saying it's adorable, because it is in many families, inclusive, every family has their own, this kind of quirky things what they do, and then they think, okay, now it's fine, even though you might not even bring the serious topics to the table, but you have a soup and then you eat it, and it's good.
The wonderful actress who plays my mother, she told a
Yes,
really
she's
wonderful
also
story.
sweet.
Hopefully, it's okay if I tell the story.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she told this wonderful story about somebody in her family, that whenever there was like a grandmother, and whenever somebody started talking about something uncomfortable that
Mhm.
she didn't think was needed to be discussed, or she didn't want to discuss, she would start whistling. You'd like,
Really?
and then everybody in the family knew the
They
cue.
knew.
Was like, okay, this is no
Yeah,
further.
this is
No more of this.
when the whistling comes, then it's the limit.
Yeah, everybody
Hard
knew.
limits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe every family has these kind of stories. Coming back to Saga, as a character, do you have anything in common with her? I mean, I know that you usually, when you play somebody, then there are some roles where you feel closer than others, because you can find some characteristics of her. I mean, I'm not talking about epilepsy here, but other
Yeah,
things
thank
what you
you. Yeah.
find are similar to you,
Oh yeah,
or what you can relate
absolutely.
to.
I mean, that's the way that and every actor works very, very differently. But the way that I work is I go quite close to myself. I bring a lot of my, because it's interesting just as a human being. It's interesting some of the things that that I think about and interest me, to be able to put them into the stories and run them through stories and sort of, test things out, just test ideas out. But I have a lot in common with her in terms of, this thing about the thing about the control and fear of not being in control, is something that I definitely relate to. So much that motherhood and in the family structure, the love stories, all of it,
Yeah.
and so it
Also
was
because it's also very human character, Saga is.
yeah,
I think
definitely. No, it was
realistic.
hard it was a hard thing. It was really hard to do, actually, because I experienced, because when I did this, I mean, I'm on set basically 12 hours a day, and so I didn't do anything else, but I was just in her, and my mother was complaining because she was really worried about me, because she was like, she thought I was getting depressed. I would show up at her house and I would just be, like in thought and not really talking, because I was just in that world. And it was interesting because a few weeks into filming, I started experiencing unbelievable loneliness, just like cutting loneliness.
Painful.
I was hard, and I've never, and I'm an sort of an introvert. I'm by myself a lot. I like being by myself. So I've never really experienced that before. And I was experiencing that through Saga, because, she's very much on her own throughout this story. She is on her own, both because of her own doing and because of the circumstances. and you know, and it was just an incredibly intense thing to go through for many weeks. So, you know, when we finished, I definitely, I think I stayed in bed. I just drew the curtains, and I think I stayed in bed for about 2 days and didn't speak to anybody. I was completely exhausted.
In your own world as well, I believe, yeah. In your own
yeah, because I mean, I tend to work pretty intensely. Like some actors, they can come home and sort of just shake it off for the night, and you know, I don't do that. You know, I stayed by myself. You know, my daughter was at my mother's house, you know, for a few weeks, and so I could just focus, because I knew that I needed to be in like a deep state of focus for the entire duration of the filming.
It also shows beautifully on the big screen as well. I think the work what you did with the role. So really well done.
Really, thank you very much. No, it was when because I saw it once before here in Iceland, and I saw it in a movie theater, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised how nice it was to see it on the big screen, because also the way that Tina has structured her storytelling, you know, she's letting a lot of the nuances and the details,
like the window, like the open window, for example, what you don't understand in the beginning, but when you see the movie, you realize that what the storytelling is about, the small details what are coming out throughout the story.
So it was really nice to see. I thought it played really well on the big screen, because then, you know, hopefully the audience gets to read all the little things, the little textures, the little, you know, turn in the eye, because, you know, this is what I love about this medium, is that I think that, you know, the camera, if you have a good storyteller like Tina, the good filmmaker, you know, the for an actor, like, the camera really can read your mind, you know, can read your thoughts. And so, you know, I tend to do like a lot of prep work, like a lot of prep work, and break down so the intention is clear. And I think especially for this, because it's almost like a story that in some instances, if it was another filmmaker, they would have done it with maybe a voiceover, you know.
Probably.
but and that's what I love about, I think it's very brave of Tina, and I think it's very powerful in the result, where you get to be in her head without it being explained to you. And it was so lovely to get, you know, feedback from like you, and you know, it was also, you know, there was a 20-year-old girl who also came up to me, and there was like, and she related to, you know, things, and so, you know, that's
it's very human in a way, and I think that the way it played out on the screen was interesting also. At least me personally, I never lost the interest of trying to understand where this story goes. You know, you get from the beginning small hints that there is something, and the music was also beautifully combined with the scenes, I think, and this beautiful nature of Iceland as well, you know, the snow and the white, and even with the colors. I was thinking constantly about your red coat. You know, you have this white park, the whole surroundings, and then your red coat there comes kind of like, it kicks you in the eyes in a good way, that it brings out the contrast in a way, and the whole mystery of finding out what you get some ideas what it might be, you know, what these memories are about. But and then I wasn't sure. I think I'm a pretty good of kind of getting the hints and trying to find out soon
Yeah.
enough on the mysteries or even crime movies, who is or what is happening and
Yeah.
all that. But it kept me like me sitting like on a needles a little bit, you know, where is this going? And
Right.
and then when I think it was one specific moment where I realized, okay, this is what it is probably about, and it was.
Right,
So
right, right.
and
Oh,
you
that's
find, I
wonderful.
think it is really, people experience the different things, different traumas in their lives, be it sickness or family traumas, traumas or dramas, both of them. You know, they always
Yeah.
leave a kind of what is the word in English now? Not a pattern, but the footprints in you.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that's why I think
Very
that
cool.
it is. I think that the movie has a kind of audience which is quite big actually, because most of us have been touched by something, you know, in our family or we know people who have gone through something like that. So that's why I really loved it, as you can hear from me. So I think it's a really good movie.
So I'm so happy. I mean, it's just like literally warms my heart, you know,
Oh,
that
good.
this is the
I'm
whole
not doing
purpose
it
of why
intentional.
we go through you know, do a hard thing and to hopefully, you know, so to have this kind of reaction just means the world.
Oh, good. So
But yeah, like regarding like, you know, this sound design and the music, like you mentioned, like
yes, it's really
I
good.
watched the film and the sound designer, which is different from the composers.
Composers were in Tallinn, yeah.
So the composer did a wonderful job, and then the sound editor did such a wonderful job as well. And I remember he was in the movie theater when I watched it for the first time, and I just went up to him and hugged him when we finished, because his work also, along with the music, but just the detail and the sound really helped us to get into Saga's head, you know, because it all plays together. And that's the beautiful thing about filmmaking, is that it's such a collaborative experience, and it's like it's such a privilege when you get to work with a group of people led by somebody, you know, brilliant like Tinna. But like in every department, like the wardrobe designer, you know, she put me in these clothes, and I never saw Saga in these clothes, but it completely changed the way that I carried myself. You know, I walked differently, and all of a sudden Saga had her own physicality, and that was like, you know, this beautiful collaboration between wardrobe designer and the actor, and you know, and the hair and makeup designer. You know, we changed that, went from blonde hair, which I have blonde hair naturally, and we went cut it, and you know, and I like, so all of these people, there's so many people
who are part of it.
And I find that to be such a magical part of making films, and it's like such a privilege. You get to work with all these talented people, that everybody is contributing an important piece, and then it comes together, and hopefully, you know, to make something that has an effect. You know?
I wanted to ask some couple of questions also about your career in general, because like you mentioned in the beginning, you were born and raised in Iceland, then you moved to England, right, to learn theater, and then United States, and now back in Iceland. What made you, I'm curious about it, because I've lived abroad myself. I lived 10 years in Denmark, in Copenhagen. I speak Danish as well, so it's just, what made you come back to your roots? I know why I came back, but what made you move back to Iceland?
It's been such an interesting journey, because when I was 16, I felt an immense sense of claustrophobia here. And I was like,
small
I
place.
need to get out of here right now. And I knew I wanted to study in England if I could. And I got very lucky. I got into a really good drama school and studied. And and then after that, I was doing theater and films and all kinds of stuff. And I thought I was going to stay there forever. I was really happy there. And then by fluke, I auditioned for, a TV series in America, and like the next day they said, oh, they want to fly you over to test for all the executives and all these kind of like strange new ideas. And so I go over there and I end up doing a TV series in the States, and then and I do a couple of like bigger things, like it was in this film called Journey to the Center of the Earth that was a really big, it was a big film. It was Warner Brothers and New Line, and like this whole world that I just didn't know I didn't know existed, and it was a whirlwind. It was like an intense whirlwind that lasted for a while, and it was
you also did Tudors.
Yes, yeah, I did the Tudors and
Jane Seymour there.
And then I've been living in the States for 13 years. My daughter was born there, and then I come back here in 2019 to do the TV series The Minister.
Yeah, The Minister. Yeah.
And I play the second lead to the incredibly talented Ólafur Darri Ólafsson playing the lead, and just being in a European setting and a European filmmaking environment.
It's different, isn't it?
I just had such a strong experience of like, oh, I felt challenged, and I felt nurtured nourished in a completely different way artistically than I had been in the States, and just the entire the atmosphere and the crew and the directors that I was meeting, and it just hit me like a thunderbolt. And that and added to that was, of course, my daughter was 5 at the time, and there was a crossroads.
Because school started.
I thought, we're either going to stay there and she is going to be, have an American identity, or we're coming here and she'll have, she'll be an Icelander. And I looked at the two environments and I just thought that for my daughter to grow up in, I felt very strongly that this was a way, way, way healthier environment.
For her than
my convictions were incredibly strong. And then, and I think that's a gift when sometimes you're at a crossroads and you don't know where to turn, and you're like, I hope I make the right choice. But this really was a gift. And I think also the COVID and what it did to the state of me as a human being, it gave me permission to reevaluate what I consider success, what I consider to be quality of life. And all of a sudden, because I think I'd been chasing something for a long time where, somebody else's idea of success and what you needed to do to achieve it. And then it was so, just all of a sudden, it was just so clear to me, I don't want that. I just don't, I'm not happy in that environment. And I realized that I hadn't been happy in that environment for a very long time, but I wasn't conscious of it. But all of a sudden, it was crystal clear to me. And then, I've just had the immense fortune that I've been, given opportunities here with amazing filmmakers for the past couple of years, where I'm now, I did The Minister, and now I'm in the middle of my 4th film with amazing filmmakers. I've just written a series that it looks like it's going to production next year. Oh, and so
good! Congratulations! Now I'm getting really curious.
Yeah, and it's funny how all of a sudden it's like, one day I'm living this life, and then the next day I'm like, no, this is the only way for me. And I was very lucky that, I was able to have that conversation with my husband, and he understood that I was really, really serious.
Yeah.
And I basically said, like, I can't, I think if I leave here, I'm just gonna die. I don't think I can make it. And so, I was very lucky that he was understanding and willing to, to
I
do
think it's a
that.
beautiful story what you just told. Again, something needed to happen
Yes.
in order for you to
Yes.
come back or realize
Yes.
that this is what you want to do. So this is
Yeah.
what I always say. I think that we plan and God loves, and brings us to
Yes.
wherever we need to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But also just giving yourself permission as a human being.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
To, like, maybe you had these set of dreams and goals when you were 20, but we evolve as human beings, and our intentions
hopefully, yes.
evolve, our dreams evolve. Hopefully, yes. That's a sign of success. And so, for somebody who likes to be in control of things, and can be a little obsessive, like I definitely can, it was a real sign of growth for me that I was consciously able to tell myself, okay, I'm going to consciously let go of this because it no longer serves me, and it's doing me harm, and I'm not experiencing all of this life that is so nourishing to me here, both the environment, to the people, to my friends that I have around me, and my collaborators, and the being a part of the film industry here is just incredibly rewarding. So I just feel
you could get a good movie script out of it, actually.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
maybe not based on exactly your life, but I like these kind of stories as well.
Yes, well, there's a lot of this in the project that I'm writing.
Okay.
So maybe you'll hopefully
tell me about that one. I know that you traveled back from Tallinn because you were filming something at the moment. Let's start with
yes.
So can you tell me a little bit, our audience a little bit, what it is about once?
This film that I'm doing now?
Yes. Let's start with that one.
Yes, it's a story about there's some friends that get together for a dinner party one evening. It's actually based on an Italian film, and they get together for a dinner party, and somebody suggests that they play this game that turns out to be it turns out to be incredibly dangerous and wreaks havoc throughout the evening, and people's lives are
changed forever.
Changed forever. Forever. But it's what I love about it is like it's a study of relationships and marriages, and both all there are different versions of love.
What is it called? Does it have a name already, or is it too early to talk about?
Yeah, it's called Vitlebráð, and I don't know if it has an English title yet.
Yes.
But
Vitlebráð. What does it mean in translation?
It means like wild game, like in the food, like
I understand. Okay, interesting. And now about what you've been writing, the series or something, the new vision of project. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I mean, essentially it's a love story. It's a story of a couple, that's been together for a while. I've always been really fascinated by this concept of the 7-year itch, and
been there, done that.
Yeah, right. So how it connects to our body completely renewing itself every 7 years, except for our teeth. You know, we're entirely different creatures. And I was really interested in, and I studied it quite a bit, and what that does to the chemistry of our relationships. Because again, talking about evolving, you know, to evolve as a human being by yourself is hard enough, but to evolve with another human being, like it's
that's a nightmare sometimes.
Thing. But I started studying it in a kind of like a scientific way. So I was fascinated. What I found is that there is an actual chemistry in our brain. There's a certain set of hormones that are injected into our brains when we are attracted to somebody and in that honeymoon phase. And it's essentially, you know, whatever, if there is a higher power, you know, it's a way to get us to, you know, make babies and procreate. And there's, after a while, there's a different set of hormone that makes us take care of our young. You know, it makes us nest. It makes, you know, it provides us with security so that we can keep our young ones alive. And then what? And then what is happening both in your brain? Because I think people are always, you know, we talk about matters of the heart in such a vague way sometimes. You know, we say, oh, I'm not in love anymore, but what does that really mean? What part of that is, you know, literally chemistry in our brain, and what part of that is actually matters of the heart? And it's all such a, and I find this is just endlessly interesting and important, and I was always dumbfounded by how little we talk about it, and how little we educate ourselves on it. And so you see again and again people, you know, whenever that time is with the 7 years or the 12 years or the, you know, those kind of benchmarks, and you always see people like, oh, they have affairs and they split up, and like, oh, you know, I fell out of love. What do you mean? And so it's really an exploration of those themes, you know.
When can I see it?
We're hoping to be we're hoping to be in production perhaps next year. So
okay,
you know,
so it takes a couple of years after
away.
that. Okay,
but that'll be, you know, after I finish this film, I think that's where my focus is going to go pretty full on.
Sounds very interesting. I really, I hope you can do it. I hope you know,
thank you very much.
that.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to jinx it, you know. It's
exactly, let's not
making films and television is such a, it's so hard, and it's a long process, and it's a marathon. And so, you know, I'm just very grateful to have great, you know, producers and collaborators around me, and I'm excited about it, you know.
Good luck with that, for sure. As said, I'm gonna keep an eye on you and your doings in the future. So
thank you, I appreciate it. You're a great audience. I love it.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, film is one of my passions as well, but from the audience, you know, from the viewer side, I also theater. It's the same. I that it's not what I do professionally. I have actually, you know, I don't work in any film industry or theater. I just have very good relationship with theaters and filmmakers as well, and doing it on my, you know, free time basically. So and doing it with a passion and with love. So it's something that
I really think that the stories that we have around us, they, whether we're fully aware of it or not, they act as such a compass in our lives, and I think they can be, you know, they set a standard of you know, ethical normalcy, and they give us clues. They give us, they're a good film, you know, can give us, you know, great clues and comforts, and you know,
and make us asking the right questions. What we sometimes, you know, we're looking for sometimes for the answers from the wrong place, or asking the wrong questions. It's like a discovery, and it is. It's you know, I know some people that think that, you know, the art or the fiction and the reality has nothing to do with each other. But I think you can't create fiction, you know, if you don't
Yeah.
have the reality. I
Yes.
think that's the beauty
No,
of the
definitely.
storytelling, actually. So it is, even the fantasies are based on something. I'm not talking about the creatures if they exist or not, but there is always the
Absolutely.
metaphors you can use
They're
and all that.
they're a
So
metaphor for, you know, yeah,
exactly, exactly, yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
always, you know,
yeah.
that's definitely why I do what I do, in hopes that you can,
Mhm,
you know, that you are lucky
mhm,
enough to be a part of something that that has
mhm.
real meaning or can be helpful in
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah,
life,
yeah.
you know, really.
No, I absolutely. I'm an avid reader, theater goer, and a film watcher. So, and I'm
Me
writing
too.
about it as well. That's another passion I have. It's writing.
I love
So,
that. Yeah, that's beautiful. I
okay,
love that.
Anita, I've already used an hour of your time,
It's been a
and it has
pleasure
been
talking to
absolute
you.
pleasure
Yeah,
talking to
really,
you.
really interesting talking to you. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
So I wish good luck to Quake, for sure. That also, when you have, I heard from Tina that it is in January. It's going to
Yes.
be premiering in Iceland as well. So
Yeah.
good luck with that. Good luck with
Thank
your
you.
filming, what you do at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm really excited for you on your
Oh,
behalf for the future of what you're planning to do. So
thank you very
I
much. I
really
really
appreciate
appreciate
your
that.
time, Anita, and
Thank
hopefully
you. You
it's not
too.
the last touch base we had.
Absolutely. I hope so too. I hope we can reconnect at a later date. Yeah,
Yes,
that'd be
absolutely,
great.
absolutely. So take good care of you and your
You
family
too.
and your closest ones. I think it's important.
Yeah.
So thank you again for your
Yeah.
time, and yeah, hopefully I will see more movies or more films where you are in. So I really hope so.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Take
I'm
care.
so happy you enjoy Craig, and lovely talking to you. All right.
Yes, same here. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.